You think you know the story of Venice's plague doctors. The long black cloak, the leather gloves, and of course that haunting mask with its bird-like beak. We've all seen it. At carnivals, in games, on posters of medieval horror. But what if I told you the truth behind that mask was darker, stranger, and far more unsettling than the history books let on? Let's begin with the mask itself. The beak wasn't just decoration. It was designed to hold herbs, flowers, and vinegar-soaked cloth. At the time, people believed disease spread through foul air, what they called miasma. The mask was supposed to filter it out, but in practice, it did little to protect them. Instead, the mask became something else, a disguise that stripped the doctor of his humanity. Families didn't see a healer. They saw a faceless creature, silent and terrifying, who stepped into their homes like death itself had come calling. And behind that mask, not the heroes we imagine. Many plague doctors weren't trained experts. Some were young men with little experience, others were failed physicians, and some were simply desperate for work. The job paid well, but the price was almost always the same. Exposure to death on a scale few could bear. Imagine walking into rooms where entire families lay rotting, the air heavy with decay. Imagine recording names in ledgers as you tried not to breathe too deeply. For many doctors, the horror broke them. Some turned to alcohol, others abandoned their posts, and many more became victims of the very disease they were sent to fight. At first, the people of Venice feared them. Children hid at the sight of their cloaks. Neighbors whispered when one appeared at a door. Their presence was an omen. If the plague doctor arrived, it meant someone inside was already as good as dead. But over time, that fear shifted into something else. A grudging respect. Because while merchants fled and nobles sealed themselves in villas, the plague doctors stayed. They walked the streets no one else dared to enter. They faced the plague head-on, even when they knew the odds of survival were slim. Yet their role went far beyond medicine. Plague doctors weren't just healers. They were also record-keepers, inspectors, and enforcers of quarantine. They decided who was locked inside their homes, who was dragged to pest houses, and who was left to die. Their beaked masks and dark cloaks became not just symbols of protection, but of power. For some Venetians, the plague doctor wasn't a savior at all. He was the hand of the state, a figure who could condemn with a single stroke of his pen. Today, that same mask is sold in Venice as a souvenir. Tourists wear it at Carnival, laughing at a figure that once brought only dread. But 400 years ago, its meaning was very different. Imagine waking in the dead of night to the sound of boots echoing in a silent alley, the slow creak of a door opening, and a figure with a bird's face stepping into the candlelight. For many Venetians, that was the last sight they ever saw. And that's the unsettling truth about Venice's plague doctors. Behind the beak wasn't just medicine, it was fear. Not just protection, but authority. They remind us that in humanity's darkest hours, those sent to heal us can just as easily become symbols of control, despair, and death itself.